But there's one more thing you need to know about university admission. My name is Joaquin Ravello, and I'm a current UPenn Wharton Engineering dual degree student. This right here is the second video on helping you get into your dream university. Here we'll talk about the next most important secret that you need to remember with your university application success that no one talks about. And funny enough, this secret was actually inspired from my own personal story of being one of the largest underdogs at my school, undertaking one of the most dangerous bets I found myself in. You'll find that story very entertaining. You won't find this secret in any other YouTube video on university admissions out there, because this strategy is not some small execution strategy, but rather a strategy that helps you execute on all the university admission strategies. I don't think enough emphasis is placed on this part of the journey. So if you're that one person who's able to master this strategy and this skill, you're going to have a huge advantage over everyone else. Did you hear that? Because if you already watched my previous video, you likely already know what to do. You already know that you need to have a solid set of extracurriculars with good grades and an overall theme. You know that. The question now becomes, why are you not doing it? One of the most important realizations that I think anyone can have is to understand that success is simple. And frankly, this sounds like a very easy concept to understand, but you don't truly get it until you've gone through the journey. And myself, I still don't feel like I've truly gotten it, but I have a certain amount of understanding, and I've applied it into my own life to get into my own dream university and have helped other students do the same. So I think understanding it brings you a lot of value. Ultimately, success is simpler than you and I think. And I really learned this from my grandpa when I sat down with him. Now, my grandpa started off in a low to middle income household in Argentina. And with the correct set of strategies, disciplines, and skills, he was able to build his own ferry company completely from the ground up and sell it. And in fact, he still works to this day. I was just with him a few months ago back in Argentina. And even though he's almost 100 years old, he's still working, he's still pursuing, and most importantly, he's still doing the simple disciplines that give him that lifelong success. Now, you just found an Easter egg, which are essentially these codes that I scatter throughout my videos that you type into the link in the description down below. So you're gonna see a link called Grizzly Elite / Easter eggs. So type in this code right here, Grandpa Grizzly, into the link in the description down below, and you'll get a review that I made of the conversation I had with my grandpa on life, success, and high achievement. He mentioned that achieving success in any discipline is much simpler than most people think. In fact, he went on to say that the secret of these events is that the simplicity fools too many people. And the secret is not being fooled by the simplicity, because most people get fooled by the simplicity and then they go off in search of more complicated topics, more complicated answers, more complicated routines, and more complicated solutions. When in fact, it was the simple things that give you that success. So ultimately, this relates back to university admissions by understanding that you don't necessarily need to know anything else. You don't need to know some complicated secret that only the top Ivy League people know, because it doesn't exist. You don't need to know any more information, and you don't need to do anything more complicated. Just stick to the simple things that are proven to work. Stick to the simple disciplines that, when repeated enough times for a prolonged period of time, ultimately give you those success, ultimately give you that results, right? This includes just having strong extracurriculars, doing all the basics. Do those, continue doing them for a prolonged period of time, and you'll achieve success. I also think this would be very freeing for most people, because you really don't need to know anything else when it comes to university admission success. Is there things to know when it comes to executing those tactics? Absolutely. That's why I'm making this video right now. But when it comes to actually knowing the things, right? Do good in school, get extracurriculars, have reference letter, whatever the case may be, don't overcomplicate it. Just stick to the basics and continue doing those and do them well. Because when I was in high school, I was always looking for some new technique, some new strategy, something completely novel, some game changer knowledge that I thought I need to know, when in reality it was the basic things repeated for a long time that gave me that success. In fact, it was the work ethic, right, that necessity, which I'm about to talk to in a second, mixed with the correct execution strategies, which made the largest difference. So I'm going to focus in right here on one strategy, right, the how of how to actually do this. That helped me achieve university admission success. And this right here, I would argue, because a lot of people come up to me, they're like, how do I not procrastinate? How do I stop pushing things off? How do I stay focused, etc.? This one strategy changed my world, because you need to understand that before this, Sure, I was motivated, but not as much as I could possibly be. I didn't really have that fire in me. I was just kind of bouncing around. Then I got the strategy, and then the entire world changed. I gained that ambition. I was an unstoppable force starting in my freshman year. So essentially, this story started when I made a dangerous bet with a bunch of athlete kids at my school. And you need to understand that despite now myself being fit and doing martial arts in my free time, back in the day, I was a very weak, small kid. All right, I went through puberty rather late. So by the time I was 14 years old, I was like 5 foot, while all these other sports guys were like 5'8", around there. And I felt pretty intimidated by them. So one time, for whatever reason, I still don't know how this happened, but they got access to my YouTube channel. This was a YouTube channel I had back in the day, making videos on helping students become more productive, because that was a skill that I seem to have. I seem to have that skill to maintain focus for a prolonged period of time. Anyways, they seem to have found this video, and they were pressuring me about it, right? These 4 guys showed up in the change room after PE, and I was in the corner, and they both approached me like this. Or all 4 of them approached me like this. They were looking at the video, and they're like, started laughing, and they're like, "You can't do this. You will not succeed with making this product." Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to make this product that I would then show to my university admissions that allowed students to stay more focused, right? It was like this Pomodoro type of timer that then linked to your app with this Arduino kit. Anyways, long story short, they found this and they're like, "You won't succeed. You're going to fail. This is bad. These videos are cringe." And at the heat of the moment, right, myself being there in the corner, sweating, looking profusely up, I responded with the following. "I bet you $100 on my name that I'll make it happen." I made that bet. They all looked at each other and they all laughed again. However, they saw it as an easy chance to make some money. So they're like, okay, $100 each. So I'd have to pay them $400 if I lose, and they each pay me $100. $100 each if I make $10,000 selling this productivity app and productivity project by the end of the year. I look back and I'm like, all right, let's do it. I shook their hands. They went off laughing. And then I remember I just stood there for a few seconds wondering what I just got myself into. So essentially I made a bet that I had to make this product, sell it online for $10,000 by the end of the year, or else I'd have to pay these people $400, which I didn't even have. Now, when I walked out of that change room, my life was completely different, was completely altered. There's a clear goal, a clear consequence, and a clear set of rules that govern the game. And this right here is the largest lesson to learn, that the competition between my friends created that necessity to continue doing work even when I didn't feel like it. Why? Because I didn't want to lose and look like a failure to the entire class. Now, you need to understand that when you go through high school and then you get into university and you go through your admission process, while you are competing against other students who are applying to those spots, it's not entirely clear that there is competition. In other words, many times throughout, let's say you're taking an exam or you're getting your test back or just going through school, it just feels like you're going through the motion. It doesn't feel like you're in a game, or it doesn't feel like you're playing against someone, or it doesn't feel like you're trying to beat someone else. And it's that concept right here that I believe can impact you the most. And it's by making the competition an actual person with stakes and clearly defined rules that you can move away from the abstracted version of people are just competing to get into college. In other words, look for ways to add competition when it comes to going through high school. Whether that's competition with an exam, make a friendly competition with one of your friends, or one of your extracurriculars, add some sort of stakes, some sort of involvement. Don't go as far as mine. My example's pretty extreme, but do something a little bit more fun that engages that competitive spirit. Or else it just feels like you're doing work for the sake of doing work. You're not competing against other people. And as Brendan Burchard, from the author of the 6 High Performance Habits, states, necessity is one of the key habits for high performers. It's that why power at the end of the day, right? Why are you doing this task? With a strong enough reason, with everything else being equal, you're more likely to succeed than someone else. Why? Because it's the person with the strongest reason why they're doing it that are motivated to go that extra mile. And I believe adding that competition, especially in places where there isn't any, is crucial when it comes to unleashing your best self. So here are a few ways that I did that. I had a competition between my friends and I when it came to doing certain habits and disciplines. Again, doing the simple things, habits, discipline, grades, all the simple things you know how to do, I turned that into a competition. So essentially what we would do was we had a bunch of calendar monthly papers on the wall, and every single time that we did our daily habit, our daily routine, we put an X on the calendar. And then the person who had the most X's by the end of the month and would have the longest streak, and you can have whatever rules you want, would get a reward or would get a punishment. Because you need to remember that consistency with your habits is one of the key differentiators that's going to boost you above everyone else. Because you need to remember, in high school, most people aren't consistent at really anything. So if you're that one person who's able to maintain consistency, especially with habits, you're going to have a huge advantage over everyone else. Another strategy I strongly suggest is that of making it into an actual board game, right? I have my accountability partner, which I talk about in these YouTube videos and in the podcast. His name is Andy Jang. You can subscribe to him in his TikTok and YouTube channel, links down below. Essentially, what I do with Andy is we set up a chess game on chess.com. And every single time that we do one of our habits or one of our priorities or one of our whatever we define the game to be, right? A key discipline to help us move forward, we move a piece on the chessboard. And not only does this practice our chess playing skills, which we love to play chess, but it also gives us an incentive to keep moving forward. Because if we miss a day, we're going to be behind a move and we can very easily lose a piece or blunder and completely lose the game. It's little things like that that you'd be surprised give you a huge incentive to try to beat the other person. Now, quick note, I don't really care what the world says about competition right now, because I hear a lot of people saying, and I recently got flamed for this for whatever reason, there's people out there saying that competition is bad, that we shouldn't tell kids to compete. I very strongly disagree, because I remember being in, like 5th grade or something, and we tried to compete in PE. I believe it was like a dodgeball game or rugby or something like that. We were trying to compete, and then the teacher came in and it's like, all right, stop competing, stop playing too rough, whatever. And that, especially as a 10-year-old, that really annoyed me, because I love competing. I love trying to win. I love trying to beat other people. It's just really fun. And if you're able to add that element of fun and gamification into your high school endeavors, well, now high school doesn't feel like work anymore. High school instead feels like a pursuit where you're trying to beat other people. And the irony of the entire situation is that high school, especially when it comes to university admissions, in many ways is a pursuit of trying to beat other people. You're trying to beat other people to get into your top university. So you need to understand that if you're not coming from this competitive frame when it comes to university admission competition, you're going to get beat by the person who is. One of the biggest disservices you can do to students is tell them to stop trying to compete, because that's actually what's happening in the real world, especially in the university admission sphere. So understand that there's someone else who wants to get into your top university and steal your spot. And you need to become better than them in order to succeed and take that spot. So by setting up this type of gamification, it gives you that incentive to move away from an abstract version of your competition, which is what it is right now, right? It's an abstract amount of people competing for the spot. It's just a number, some statistic, 5%, whatever the case may be, that abstract number, and instead put it into an actual game with a person you know and in circumstances that you can control, supporting those key disciplines that I talked about in the first part of the video. And hopefully now you see how this is all coming together. Because when you do that, when you apply it from this perspective and you focus only on these key disciplines, not only will it actually feel like you're competing against other people, so you're going to gamify the entire system, but you're also going to have so much more motivation to go out and actually work, go out and actually achieve. Go out and go get away from all this procrastination that is pulling most students down. And now, coming back to my story that I was talking about, the next, I believe it was 9 months after I made that handshake deal, every day was like a finals day. I was working, grinding to do anything I possibly could to make sure I got those 10,000 sales. And guess what? By the end, I managed to exceed that goal and make 12,000 sales, which with the productivity timer. You need to understand that that competition gave me the necessity and the fuel to continue moving forward and make that impact. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I might also make a video in the future explaining absolutely everything you need to know, because there might be people who come into this truly not knowing. I don't think that's the majority of people though, because if you're watching this video, you're probably an ambitious student and you probably already know what universities want, which is why I made it a priority to make this video first so that people like you have the execution strategies you need to go out and achieve extraordinary results. Because that's what I want for you. I want you to achieve extraordinary things. I want you to live the best life you possibly can. And if getting to the top university unlocks that type of pathway and allows you to get to that, I'm more than happy to help. And more than anything, the entire Grizzly League revolution and the YouTube channel, all the content that I'm posting, is to help students become the best versions of themselves they possibly can, to achieve and unlock their potential. And I feel like that's just so lost in culture today, right? Most students are either just dismotivated, procrastinating, have no purpose in life, have no mission. And I find it just so incredibly funny how we're no longer taught to achieve greatness in our life. Yet I feel like that is so incredibly necessary for young people like ourselves. And I promise you, once you get into this state of working towards something that you strongly believe in, that's when the world opens up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comment section down below. I'd be more than happy to help. I also have my email down if you want to send me some email, send me some chance me's. I've been doing some of those recently. If you want to chance me in email, send all the information there. I'd be more than happy to help. I typically respond with video like this because I want to help students out. And as always, stay productive. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.